7. I think we have 6.
The 6. With
I got Nancy.
coming off.
I think Nancy is 7.
I'm here.
Hi, Nancy.
Hey there.
We have 8, but I don't know who iPhone is.
It's David Gross.
Hi, David.
Hi.
And Ray makes 9, so we're good to go.
All right, great.
Recording in progress.
All right, great. Well, thanks everybody for showing up on such a beautiful day, St. Patty's Day. Hope everybody's got some green on. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll have a call to order and then ask anyone if they had any questions about the February meeting minutes. Any questions? Comments? Concerns? Entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Make a motion, we approve as presented.
That's Bill.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Seconded, Christopher Clark.
Christopher, second. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Or anybody
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unanimous. All right. Public comments. Do we have anyone logged on for public comment? Doesn't look like it.
No public comments received.
All right, great. Well, let's talk about the MSD facade improvement grant update.
All right,
Holly,
Chance here. I'll take that one.
Chance.
I believe at our last meeting, post presentation, yourself and a few other committee members questioned and wanted staff and WDI to kind of research the location of the Brooklyn Art Center's new property there at, I think it's 412 Campbell Street. Did some further research, and that parcel is right outside of the MSD geographic boundaries there, so hence not within MSD program there. Discuss it with WDI's team, discuss it with some city officials, and resolution there was to credit the city's MSD funds back that $2,500 of grant funding that was given to the through the Brooklyn Art Center there for their facade improvements there with the new property. Credit was received by city, I believe, with this last invoice that came over from WDI. And with that, Holly, correct me if I'm wrong, but that should open up one more for a potential facade improvement grant award for this remaining fiscal year, correct?
That is correct. And we still had one more to go. So we actually have two $2,500 or one $5,000 facade grant remaining. The next facade improvement grant committee meeting will be next month. And so, so we'll be evaluating what we have in hand at that time. But yes, it does give us another more capacity for the grant. So our apologies for missing that. It was, and you know, when we looked at it, it was Brooklyn Art Center's Properties LLC that owns that corner and the block as a whole, kind of that area. That parcel, however, is right on the other side of the line. So unfortunately, that parcel, that single parcel, was outside the bounds. So WDI did correct that and repaid the fund.
Thank you. So I assume that y'all will continue to evaluate all applications and make sure that you check that they are actually in the CBD.
Absolutely, yes. And you know, we certainly thought that one was.
Should be a part of the application process. I would assume that you would make them verify that it is in the CBD.
Right, yeah, well, the application process is pretty extensive. I don't know if you've seen, and we've made the offer before, I'll certainly make it again, that if someone from this MSD advisory committee would like to be a part of the facade improvement grant review process, absolutely welcome. Some of those applications, given everything that we require of them for that funding, are 20, 30 pages long. I'm not kidding, with all the information, historic, et cetera. So we try to make them thorough. We will make sure that we verify that location so that we're not one parcel off ever again. Mark.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions regarding that, the MSD facade grant? None? All right, we'll move on to reports. Lieutenant Nichols there he is. You're on mute, sir. There you go.
I was just able to get back in. We were busy down here for a second. Real quick, I know last meeting you asked if I could do the presentation for the social district. I had a meeting with the chief last week and we were getting ready to present to city council. And he asked that I put that off until at least we go before them and do the presentation for them. Sorry about that. The past month or two, we've been working with fire department down here pretty heavily. We were able to get some numbers posted on the poles on the Riverwalk, which is good for us and fire and EMS. We actually went out and asked people that weren't from around here, you know, where are you right now? If something happened, where are you? And a lot of them, all they were able to say is, I look across the river, I see a battleship. So now we can say, hey, we're at post 13 and we all know where to go. And that's a good thing. We've been working pretty well with Jack Morris, with the MSD, with the homeless population. I spoke with my captain. We're trying to get at least one officer assigned full-time down here to work specifically with him to help build, you know, a rapport and a relationship with some of those individuals that are in need of some help, to where they don't think anytime they see one of us, hey, we're going to jail. Or a lot of them, they want to buck up as soon as we get out and try to speak with them. Maybe we can be a friendly face instead of, you know, them shutting us out. We've had, as for stats, we've had 4 B&Es in the past 3 weeks to cars. We were able to make an arrest. We also had a robbery downtown last weekend after bar closing. That was a drug deal that went bad. We were able to make an arrest on that also. Other than that, it's pretty much business as usual downtown. The crowds, like I said last time, especially with the weather breaking and post-COVID, we're back in full swing. And with the Azalea Festival and everything coming up, and the concerts, we're gearing up for hopefully some fun times.
Lieutenant Nichols, this is Clark Kipp. When do you anticipate making that presentation to City Council?
He did not say. He just said in the next few weeks. That's all he told me.
All right, thank you. We'll look forward to your presentation to City Council and to us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions for Lieutenant Nichols?
I'd just like to add, thank the Wilmington Police Department to this beginning of the participation in the outreach program. I think it's a really important move, and I thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move on to reports from WDI. Holly?
Sure, yeah, we just wanted to again put in a plug for our microloan program. We do have several more loans in the hopper now. We've closed on 6 of those. We could do another 10 to 15 loans within the program. So, please be sure and let businesses know as you talk to folks within your network about that availability of funds up to $20,000. Right now, currently at 2.44%, but interest rates are rising. So, we'd like for people to get in and take advantage of that. Secondly, just want to thank Lieutenant Nichols, and I know you mentioned this morning too about the partnership with with Jack and with the street outreach and the ambassadors. So we're very excited about the work that he's doing, that Jack has been able to do. And, I think that was reflected some of his good work in this month's report. So the report that Veronica sends out, the last couple of pages were actually specifically talking about some of the individuals that Jack had interacted with and reached out to. He's touching 300 people, having interactions with 300 different, not different folks, but 300 different interactions a month. It's pretty consistent that he is interacting with in some way, helping them get to services, helping them get to showers, helping them get their medications, whatever it is that they may need. So we're really thankful for his work and his impact. And I'm especially glad to hear that things are going so well in his partnership with the police. That's great for us to hear. So anything else that we can do on that front, please let us know. I also wanted to turn things over to Christina. She and Nancy had sent an email about this a little earlier. She wanted to report on Peer, the company that we've been working with on developing the software platform for business retention expansion in the downtown within the MSD. And so I'm going to let her take it away with a little, she's got a little demo of that program.
All right, if I could share my screen, that would be helpful.
You should be able to now.
All right, can everybody see? You should see a screen that says business data. All right, well, let me show you the front end first. This is what we have been working with through Peer, formerly Verily. They have developed a front end platform to the program that I think looks really nice. It's they got the MSD logo and all the different districts. We will be starting with, of course, the MSD area, which would be the Central Business District, and later moving to the Brooklyn Arts District. But they have set aside different sections of this technology to show different jobs by industry breakdown, job growth, projections, jobs by type. So this is really a great program where we can really outline data and good graphs and things that we could use to share with our city council members, or help affect some policy changes in the future if we need to. We have other portions. We have a business, sorry, it takes a little bit to load here. We can create a profile on each business that will have their street address, contact information, the type of category they're in, a quick employment snapshot, and any notes that we need to take on what the business feels or how the business feels about doing business downtown. What can we do to make things better for them? What issues are they having? What do they like about doing business downtown? So we have a section for all that here. We also have a section for the business property value information, which we can either get from the county or get from the property owners themselves. And then we do have a separate section that tracks the property valuation for downtown Wilmington, or any of these subsections that we're looking at here. So you have the building quality value, the building value chart here from a certain time period, how that grows over time. Any property tax transfers or changes, and the number of property transfers per parcel. But so this is all the pretty stuff that we can take away and utilize as best we can once we start inputting data. But the real meat and potatoes behind it is this business data survey, which I've been working extensively with for the last 3 months with Peer on. So it's basically an entry form that I'll use to go through and input each business directly. It's using their address, contact information, website, and all that basic information. Business contacts here, you can see we can just get the business owner, any second or third party contact that we need in order to be able to engage with the businesses properly. Then down here, we have a specific section that looks at the classification of the business, whether or not it's woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, and the type of classification if they want to make any comments here. Then, of course, we have the business district data. We've got a nice little map here showing the individual, the MSD. So we have a section here to indicate whether the business is within the MSD or outside of the MSD. And then we have a section where they can input the actual district. Now, a lot of people don't know exactly what district they're in, so that maps are helpful. And then we will be able to assist them kind of locating and doing map and getting this. If we're doing it side by side together, I can help them determine which district they are in. Then we have a full list of employment data that we can input: number of full-time to part-time employees, contract workers, all the way to the number of open jobs and positions that they have at that time, and open contracted positions. And then they can make any notes that they need to on the positions that are needed, or any specific notes about the business's employment changes or challenges in this section here. We can also get an idea of what their pay salary is, whether it's hourly or if they do have a salary, then kind of the average salary that they have at their business. I'm hoping that the businesses will be a little bit lenient on sharing some of their hard-earned dollar information with us. I'm trying to give them a perspective on what we're actually doing, that we're not going to be sharing their actual data and revenue on an individual basis, but using it as a collective in order to be able to understand what our downtown economy actually looks like. How much money do our coffee shops make a year? How much money do our hotels make a year? All that information would be really helpful to know. And if we're looking at an economic development snapshot of our area. So we've got what types of businesses that they are, what type of industry, the annual business revenue, the reporting year that they took that revenue snapshot from, and then a note section here. We have business categorization data here. This helps a lot if you're going for a state grant. And then we also have business property data that will be taking on both the tenant and the property owner. So we have a section for tenants. And then we have a section for the actual property owner or building owner. And what type of property too. So this is really important. We want to know how much office space, retail space, residential space, industrial manufacturing, co-working, things like that. We want to know how much space we have downtown. All right, and that's pretty much it. Are there any questions for me or?
This is Clark. Is there a timeline on when you anticipate getting? There's a lot of data there that has to be uploaded. Is there a timeline on when you think you can pull a significant portion of that data together?
Yeah, so my plan is to start at the foot of Market Street this month. We have received just last week a memorandum of understanding from Pier that Holly and I have to look through, but we do have the MSD contract application. The RFP is now up too. So I'm going to try and do as much as we can and get that solidified until we can really know. And I'll let you take the rest of that, Holly.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Chance is going to be talking about this as well, but now that the MSD RFP is out, we're getting ready to build the budget, at least the budget that WDI will submit. Again, if we are the successful bidder for running the MSD program again, that we would base upon, collecting this data, having the street outreach, all of the things that we have been doing, that as we've kind of been building the program. This is a piece of it, so you'll see more about this to come. But we are, the good news is that it's taken, even though it's taken a while, that this is built out and that it is something that, Clark, you're right, there's a ton of data in there, but that we have someone, you know, like Christina now on board who has not only worked hard to put this together with Peer, but also to individually interact with the businesses so that it's not, you know, like a census sort of thing where we're just mailing you a form and hoping for the best, but she's actually going to interact with these businesses and walk them through it, talk them through it, particularly the first time, so that we make sure that all of our MSD businesses go through this process and we get data, you know, as much, you know, detailed data as we possibly can.
Excellent. Thank you.
I have a question. This is more for Christina as a clarification. On the employment data, obviously, that's as relevant as it is up to date. So when you have things like job openings, things of that nature, you know, how to ensure that the information is fresh. How do you intend to address that?
Well, if we start this month, we will kind of be in that lull in between everybody's trying to hire and having open positions. And we can always indicate what's at what time that we take the data from. So we know that we took this particular data in March of this year. And then we can always go back with the business and verify, you know, in the peak season, if we want to know, we can update that information if we need to with the business owner. But the first thing is really going to be establishing the business profile and really establishing a good relationship with the business owner or property owner, because all this, you guys have to remember too, all this is going to be voluntary data. You know, they may not, we can only convince them so much how much information to give to us. But I do think that, or at least some of the businesses that I've talked to about this particular program are on board with it to a certain extent. I think they just would like to see a little bit more how it's going to be used. But we are going to keep updating this as much as we can to keep the data as fresh as possible. And we're only concentrating on the central business district first.
I think too, Christopher, another point to what Christina's making about, you know, the data and keeping it fresh is our dream is to, once we get this baseline data established with the businesses, to have them be able to link directly to their own profile and make updates as they wish, so that if things change or if they are hiring people, if we can somehow relate this to making people aware of jobs that might be available, if we could get real-time data, that would be great. So I'm hoping that we can make this so that the individual business owners have access to update their own data as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, any further questions for Christina or Holly? All right, we'll move on to Chance.
Afternoon, everyone. Got a whole host of city updates here. The MSD RFP, as Holly alluded to, went live on the city's website this past Tuesday. Close date of the MSD services RFP is, I believe it's Thursday, April 14th. The goal here is to have a recommendation to City Council, hopefully at its second meeting in May, which is May 17th. So that puts us on a pretty tight timeline as well, kind of an odd schedule on getting a recommendation also to the MSD prior to a council date. So I will keep everyone up to date on that. If we can get our ducks in a row, have everything reviewed and through the city manager's office, I think there's a potential discussion and a recommendation to the committee on a new contract, hopefully at its April meeting, and worst case at its May meeting. Before I move on, kind of just non-MSD, but construction type projects. Any questions on that MSD RFP before I move forward? Okay. The Second Street parking deck construction progress continues. We've done some heavy sandblasting, paint removal, anti-graffiti removal in that facility over the last few weeks. If anyone has been parked in or near that parking facility, it has been dusty. It is a very dirty, cumbersome process. We hope that that is kind of the dirtiest of this whole project. Hoping that that sandblasting is done at some point late next week. That is progressing. Big construction project for the city of Wilmington, the 200 and 300 block of Front Street streetscaping. Paired project with some CFPUA improvements there. As it stands right now, that streetscaping project is set to commence, I believe, Monday, April 18th, right now, with the goal of starting at the intersection of Grace and Front Street, and then moving south toward Chestnut. So that block between Chestnut and Grace will be the first of the whole blocks impacted. That, which is the 200 block. Once the 200 block is hopefully buttoned up, then they proceed north to the 300 block, which would be the block between Grace and Walnut Streets. I believe the city's communication team has kind of a micro group on a communication chain for that project. If anyone would like to be on that kind of smaller communication chain, please let me know. We can add you to that. And I believe the first email went out with kind of a synopsis timeline this afternoon to that smaller group there. Going to be some big impacts. There's no good time to start this type project, but at the end of it, those two blocks are going to look great, and it's going to be a huge positive impact to downtown on those two blocks of Front Street. Believe timeline, worst case timeline, I believe is 150 to 160 days, if I'm not mistaken. Other construction going on downtown, Federal Courthouse, big impacts there at the corner of Water Market and Princess Street. I think most of the work right now is centered around the back alley side of the courthouse. They are going to be switching back and forth between the back alley side of the courthouse, the front, the north and south as they do repairs. That one's going to be long-term, probably 18 to 24 months of impacts to that little nook down there at Princess Water and Market Streets. Coast Guard bulkhead, unfortunately, I don't have an update on a timeline there. Last update I got was, they were supposed to have been finished early this calendar year. I did see work had halted for a bit, and they are back out there mobilized working. So unfortunately, I don't have any dates or timeline on what's remaining left on that Coast Guard bulkhead project. And the last thing I had is what Lieutenant alluded to, the social district program. Unfortunately, there's still a lot behind the scenes that's getting discussed on that subject matter between manager's office, police department, and the staffing level. So just not ready to bring anything to the group. And as Lieutenant spoke to, ideally, we want to get kind of a summary of where we're at to City Council before any other meetings take place. But important to note to the group, Social District Greensboro passed its Social District downtown Greensboro back in December. This went active March 1st. So it's a good benchmark to have out there. It's a pretty wide area of downtown Greensboro. And at the same time, Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, and I believe High Point are all looking at this subject matter very closely with the potential social districts in their towns as well. That's it, Clark, on the city updates. Happy to answer any questions or circle back to any of those items if I went too quickly.
Bill, have you got a date on Bijou Park?
Come again, Bill? Sorry.
Bijou Park, do you have a date when that might?
Oh, Bijou Park. Yeah. The important one for you there were replaced. Sorry. They are close. I think there was a meeting last night about the Front Street project at the Cotton Exchange, and it was brought up. Different engineers on that project, but yes, city project. I believe what Brett had mentioned was most likely mid to late April date, possibly as a completion.
Thank you.
I can certainly find that out and shoot you a note separately and see if that's a good date to work on.
Great. Good. I appreciate it.
Chance, this is Clark. I have a question. Some months ago, maybe.
Hey, Clark?
Yes.
I'm sorry, William was still talking. We can barely hear you, William. I'm sorry, Clark.
I was just asking about the alley across the street from Bijou.
Oh, the kind of the alley improvement project.
Right.
Still lots to be done behind the scenes there, Bill. When Eris left, that one came to me. We received some kind of high level design potentials that from the staffing level, I don't know that we were happy with. So still lots of work to be done on that alley improvement project and specifically their advanced alley before we bring anything back.
Okay, thank you.
Great question though.
This is Clark again. That was kind of my question. We had some discussions, or Eris had mentioned that the city was developing some guidelines for alleys. And I think it related to the alley next to Platypus and Gnome as that work took place. And we were anticipating the opportunity to look at those guidelines, to look at sort of the rough drafts. And I haven't heard anything about it for probably 6 or 8 months. I wondered if that's still in the hopper with the city.
Clark, I'll be honest with you, it's the first time I'm hearing anything about potential guidelines for the alley. I do know that there is in the hopper, similar to the alley there by Platypus and Gnome, some very infrastructure focused improvements to 3 alleys, I believe. And then a potential kind of what can we do to advance alley as a potential template. But specific guidelines, I can certainly do some research, see what I've got, but I'm not aware of any guidelines that are still in the hopper or have been developed.
That I would appreciate if you'd look into that.
Sure.
That the work that was done next to Platypus and Gnome was I thought turned out very well, but now, 4 or 5 months later, it's now full of stairs and trash cans, and that, we've gone right back to what we were trying to avoid. And I thought those guidelines and those procedures were supposed to address some of those issues. So I think it's something that I know I'm interested, and I think other members of the group are interested.
Sure, I can certainly, go back there, see what's out there. That might be some coordination with code enforcement, to be honest with you. But I can certainly see what we've got.
Chance, a question for you. I know we're seeing the Sidewalk Medallion or outdoor dining program being revisited. Catherine had given me a little information on it too, but I did have somebody drop by yesterday wanting to turn in an application on it, and I don't even see the application online anymore. What should we tell these people right now?
I would tell them to contact Catherine.
Okay.
I think that has gone from code enforcement under the community services side to now kind of zoning and code enforcement under the planning side. So it went from Catherine to Brian for a long time, and now it's back in Catherine's hands. Good point. Good topic to bring up, Terry. Yes, they are revisiting the Sidewalk Cafe Medallion program and a potential complete rewrite of city code related to that program. And that's one of the pieces too that kind of interacts with any potential social districts downtown. And we've got to see kind of how those will work together potentially too. So, but yeah, anyone that has questions, wants a new cafe medallion, et cetera, Catherine's the go-to on that one.
All right, gang, any further questions for Chance?
Chance, this is Christopher. You mentioned about bulkheads, and I know this is probably way beyond the MSD area of spirit responsibility, but you mentioned the Coast Guard and the bulkhead there in the federal building. You realize that around the Riverwalk, extending even up through the Ballast Hotel, the amount of erosion that's happening underneath the Riverwalk, you can even actually see it through depressions in the parking lot of the Ballast, just an example. And I know talking to some engineers that are working on the federal project that there are sinkholes underneath the areas where these bulkheads are located. That's all I have. Sorry.
Yeah, Chris, engineering has been working closely with Coast Guard and city's engineers with Coast Guard and Coast Guard's general contractor out there. The ultimate goal of that project from the federal level was to safely secure, that bulkhead back to the mainland there, as the diligence kind of left that dock. But yeah, I will pass that along. But yeah, engineers should be fully aware on the city side.
I have a comment at our last meeting with Teresa leaving. We had mentioned McKay as a possible replacement. What's the process to? I don't know McKay's last name, but he's with East West Partners. What's the process to reach out to citizens about being a member of the MSD board? There's an application process, correct?
Yeah, it's application through the city clerk's office, Clark. Any applications can be, I think the application is online, side of the city's website, and completed and submitted directly to her. In terms of reaching out to citizens, in terms of committee members, I don't think there's any rules or regulations. Anyone can be asked by another committee member to submit that application.
All right, I'll reach out to him this week.
Clark Chance, I have already reached out to McKay and he has already completed the application. So he's just awaiting where he might fit in on the committee. And so I think now that this opening is available, that it'll make room for him to move forward. It was there, until she was leaving, there wasn't really capacity on the committee, but he had expressed interest. And as Chance knows, McKay today was his first day on DPAC as well. So we're trying to get him as committed up as possible.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
I think we discussed him fitting in as a large property owner. I think that was
correct. Yes.
Correct. Hey, Clark, on that subject, we've also got a new member on here today from Live Nation representing I believe the nightlife role, and that's Ryan Belcher. So I don't know, I don't want to overlook Ryan's importance on this committee and what they're doing on the north end. So I don't know if you want to throw it to him on an introduction level.
Yeah, Ryan, we'd love to. I see your name now. I didn't usually. I get noticed of our new members, but I didn't this time. So please tell us who you are and give us your background as far as the MSD area.
Yeah, so Ryan Belcher, been with Live Nation a little less than 8 years now, I guess, primarily in other areas of the country, New Orleans, Houston, Myrtle Beach, all with Live Nation. Been in Wilmington. This is my second time living here now. I lived here about 9 years ago, and then been watching this project for the last couple of years from afar with Live Nation. And when this came up, I really wanted to move back to Wilmington. So it's been a nice fit. Still getting used to and learning everyone's names and roles and positions and how they're all layered in. So I probably can't speak too intelligently on that just yet, but excited to be part of anything and everything Wilmington that I can.
We're glad to have you. Thank you. All right. Any other comments from committee members? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
No, motion to adjourn.
I think Bill said so moved. Any seconds? Someone raise their hand. Nancy, thank you. And as Jim used to say, all those in favor, hang up.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Clark. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.